welcome into First Take on this Feel Good Friday. Thank you for being with us. Obviously, Stephen A., an incredible game last night in L.A. You were in the building, and we'll get to what that means for the Lakers and Knicks in just a moment. But, S.A., there was a moment in the game that we want to address.
That was LeBron James coming up to me, unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son. Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves. That's what he was doing. I thought long and hard about this over the last few hours because I had no intentions, Molly, of talking about this at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it was a one-on-one, I wouldn't say a conversation, but it was a one-on-one confrontation. But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent and everybody else were sending me that this thing had gone viral. And so ultimately it was unavoidable, and that is why I have to discuss it now. That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard. By all accounts, he's obviously a wonderful family man and a wonderful father who cares very, very deeply about his son. And based on some of the comments that he had heard, or shall I say, I think he thought he heard, he clearly took exception to some of the things that he heard me say, and he confronted me about it. For the record, his agent and friend, Rich Paul, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. Had he wanted to see me, I would have flown out and I would have seen him and I would have had a conversation man to man. But that is not what he elected to do. Instead, he elected to confront me while I was sitting courtside. Ari Emanuel, the head of William Morris Endeavor, one of the agencies that represents me, along with Larry David, was sitting courtside. I was with them for the game. And he walked right up to me and he said what he had to say. And apparently he feels like I was slighting his son. Now let me tell you what I feel. What I would have said if we were in a different environment, because I was not going to engage in a confrontation at that particular moment in that setting. But if we had had that conversation, I would have said to LeBron James, I never would speak negatively about your son. I was talking about you, meaning you, LeBron James. I have nothing but the best wishes for Bronny James. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope that he flourishes into an NBA star. Usually in other sports, we see all-stars, and on occasion, we'll see their children become stars as well. That doesn't really happen with the NBA. I sincerely hope he's the exception. By all accounts, he's a wonderful kid. And I don't know anybody who roots against him, and it certainly isn't me. But in the same breath, at the time that we were talking about him, he was percolating to such a degree that the Bronny James stories had gone viral. And so we had to talk about it. And when I said the things that I said, I wasn't talking about Bronny James because my attitude is he's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to get himself together. He'll be just fine, especially with J.J. Redick and the staff coaching him. I was talking about the position that he was put in by his dad, because LeBron James has been on the record, and he has said, and I'll read the quote here. There was a quote that he gave in February of 2024. The work and results will ultimately do talking, no matter what the size. If y'all don't know, he doesn't care what mock drafts say. He just works, earned, not given, et cetera, et cetera. But he also had said that his son could play on the Lakers right now, and he was better than half the dudes in the NBA. In the aftermath of all of that, he instructed everybody before the draft that y'all want me, draft Bronny. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I'll do whatever it takes to play with my son for a year. It's not about the money at that point. My point months ago was that because of who you are, one of the top 2 players in the history of basketball, in my estimation, there's an immense amount of pressure that comes with that for his son. And when he talked like that and what have you, anything that goes awry as it pertains to his son, there's going to be a microscopic eye, even more intensified, on Bronny James because of his dad. And that's when I was talking about, come on, man, this is the situation that you're putting him in. That's where I was coming from. I could be a bit more outspoken about it, but to be quite honest with you, to be in that moment, to have LeBron look at me the way that he did, for me to be a father of 2 daughters, for me to know what fathers, how much love fathers have for their children, and to hear what he had to say, it was all about his son. It was almost as if he was saying, you know, you and I, because he and I don't necessarily vibe, it's high and by, we keep it moving. Neither of us lose sleep over it, and it's been that way for years. But it was like he was saying, keep that between me and you. Almost as if he was thinking that anything that I said about Bronny was a result of him. And in that situation, again, I wasn't talking about Bronny. I was really, really talking about him because of the position that Bronny was in. But I really understood where he was coming from. He was very, very upset. I could tell. He could have called me. I'd have came to see him. I'd have had a conversation with him. He could have been just as upset face-to-face, man-to-man, as opposed to being courtside at the game. I had no idea that everybody saw it until I woke up this morning. But it is what it is. In the end, like I said, you know, I as a father, I get it. I'm not offended. I'm not insulted. I don't have any animosity or animus towards LeBron James for this. Nothing like that. I don't think he cares, but neither do I. I'm just stating fact. None of that exists. If I was in his position, I can't definitively say I would not have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming him one bit. I get it. I understand it. And there's a part of me that aches and hurts because of it.
Luka Doncic scored 32 points. LeBron added 31, and the Los Angeles Lakers extended their winning streak to 8 games by overcoming a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter and defeating the New York Knicks 113-109 in overtime Thursday night. All right, I say we're not alone. I'm bringing in Joe Fortenbaugh and Monica McNutt. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Busy day, a lot to address. Joe, I'm going to start with you on this. Give Stephen A. break here. Will the Lakers win the West, or is their downfall coming?
Given the option, I'd go downfall before I'd go winning the West because
Really?
First and foremost, you're never going to make any money buying high, and that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing peak Laker. 18-3 over the last 21 games, number 1 in defensive efficiency during that stretch. Opponents hitting their three-pointers, or I should say missing their three-pointers at an insane rate, 31%. Over the last 5 years, the best three-point defense in the league has come nowhere close to that. 34, 34, 33 and change. This is 31%. The math is going to kick in here in the near future. And when it does, and we're going to see it Saturday night against the Celtics when the Celtics hit their threes and cover the 6.5, the Lakers are going to start losing a few games. And then we're going to wonder whether or not, A, the team can gel the way it needs to gel by the time it gets to the playoffs so they can win 4 in 7, 3 times in a row to win the West.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to take a little bit more time. JJ Redick, we've never seen him as a coach in the playoffs. On top of that, you're going to have a very seasoned group of individuals you're going to have to face on your way there. I'll leave it at that for right now because I know McNutt is just champing at the bit to get involved here. But I'd say Lakers downfall before I'd say they win the Western Conference.
I wish this question stopped a little short of Western Conference victory. I do think this is the team that's capable of getting to the finals. Fortenbaugh, I love the numbers that you laid out, but I think being in the arena last night, having the chance to listen to these guys discuss what they're doing, how they're doing it, and the force that is LeBron James combined with Luka Doncic, I think I got to go the other way on this one. And I will admit, I am one that is hugely skeptical of this defense. But I don't know that it is as simple as just hit your threes versus the Lakers. I think that there is more room for them to figure out how to defend. I think some of the guys they have on their wings in particular are some of the better defenders in the league. And I think that they are building a culture of accountability that to me is going to allow them to play physical and push through. Now, I don't actually know that I believe they're coming out of the West, but even if they drop, like the next 3 games or 4 games, I believe, they're going to see that they're going to be on the road. They go to Boston, we know. They go to the Bucks. They got to go to Brooklyn in there. They got to go back to Denver, I believe. And so they've got some tests coming up. But even if they drop those games, I think these offer runway to prepare for what you're going to see in the postseason. And so I just think they've got really, really brilliant basketball minds happening on that coaching staff, and of course behind Doncic and James, and the accountability that they're playing with.
I don't see a Lakers downfall coming unless you're talking about them running into Oklahoma City prematurely. I don't see that happening. I've gotten to a point where I don't believe there's anybody in the West who can take the Lakers but OKC. That's where I'm at with it. Right now, I'd give Golden State a chance as well because they're climbing the charts and the babyface assassin is who he is. But I just look at it from this standpoint. The way LeBron and Luka are flowing, there's little margin for error with opposing teams. So no matter how potent they may be offensively, so are the Lakers. But the Lakers have been a top defensive team in the NBA efficiency-wise for pretty much the last 7 weeks. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, I can't ignore that. I can't ignore what I saw them do against Denver. I can't ignore the strategy that J.J. Redick and his staff imposed that worked wonders against Nikola Jokic in Denver. I'm looking at a Memphis that struggles to shoot, Eminem, Joe. I'm looking at a Houston that's too young. I'm looking at a Dallas who's no longer even in the picture because there are a whole bunch of dudes are injured. I'm looking at the Clippers, even though James Harden, turned back the clock, the Lakers have had their way with them. They've lost all 4 games to the Suns, for crying out loud. So I'm looking at all of these things right now, and I'm just saying to myself, it's going to come down to the Lakers and OKC. Now, OKC to me is a better team. They have more depth. They've got a superstar in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They've got some weapons who can put the ball in the hole offensively. The pickup of Hartenstein, obviously joined with Holmgren and Caruso, and what they do defensively has upgraded them significantly, but it's still unproven because I remember in the playoffs last year, you had a few guys for OKC that didn't show up and they left SGA hanging. They can't do that this time around. OKC should be the favorite, but they got to all come and play in order to knock off the Lakers. Otherwise, LeBron James and Luka Doncic are going to the finals. The best case for the Lakers is the fact that they could have an extraordinary path to get to the Western Final. If it ends today, you open with Minnesota, which is a winnable series, and then you draw the winner of Houston and Memphis. Memphis, who doesn't play any defense whatsoever anymore, and Houston, who's fading big time down the stretch, although that was a nice win over New Orleans late last night when they had to put it on them in the 3rd and 4th quarter. I wonder the push that the Lakers are making right now. This is a hard push. Star players playing 35-plus minutes routinely, getting up for every single game. All right, Saturday night is going to be a playoff game against Boston, but a lot of these other games they've been playing, they're going against teams that might not necessarily be treating it the way the Lakers are treating it. You've got 20 games to go, and then the playoffs